So I have two very smart children. I've actually reproduced twice. But bam! Got your Social Security payments taken care of, Mr. Renati, my children. That's why I always say at my school shows, everybody go home, do your homework, get good jobs, and take care of us when we're older. The parents in the back going, yay!
Hey, everybody, this is Ray Renati, and you've reached Green Room on Air, a part of Green Room Radio. That's right. How y'all doing? I'm doing okay. Just finished a production of Mamma Mia at City College of San Francisco. Got to play Sam. A lot of fun. Just some information for those of you out there who might be residents of San Francisco. I want to make you aware of the fact that the Board of Regents, I believe it's called the Board of Regents at City College of San Francisco, is planning on doing away with the annual musical. They've been producing a musical there for decades. And because of budget cuts, they've decided that the musical has to go. So do what you can to support them. Call City College, find out what's happening. I know there are some meetings and some protests. You might want to find them on Facebook. Just do some Googling. Write to your Board of Supervisors, whatever you have to do if you're interested in keeping the musical at the City College of San Francisco. All right, today we have a very special guest. Her name is Maureen McVerry. She's been a fixture of entertainment here in San Francisco and the entire Bay Area for well over 3 decades. She's the winner of 7. That's right, 7 San Francisco Bay Area Theater Critics Circle Awards. That's a big deal, people. That's our main theater award ceremony here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And she's won 7. I don't know anybody who's won that many. She's won 2 Dramalogue Awards. She's been in a number of films. She's been in a ton of plays and musicals, but she's been in a number of films. The credits for those include 9 Months. Oh, remember that movie with Robin Williams? That was hilarious. The Deadpool, Big Business, True Believer, Howard the Duck. Oh, Howard the Duck. Some say that's one of the worst movies ever made. However, I love it. Check it out. I think it's hilarious. The Ox in the Eye and Crackers. On TV, she's been on Full House. Remember that show, Full House, with the twins, the little twins, the Olsen twins when they were little girls? And Divorce Court. Woo! Divorce Court. In 1993, Maureen McVerry created her own one-person show called VERRY McVERRY. It's evolved into a cabaret show, and she's performed it for over 25 years. In San Francisco, she's performed this show at the Oasis, Feinstein's, the new Conservatory Theatre, the Herbst Theater, the Plush Room. Oh, the Plush Room. I remember it so well. It's gone. What a great venue that was. The Venetian Room, the Gateway Theater, and the Alcazar Theater. VERRY McVERRY. The show, VERRY McVERRY, has also been performed at 88's in New York City and the Gardenia Room in Los Angeles. And other venues nationally. In 2012, her show, VERRY McVERRY, was nominated for the Best Solo Show in the San Francisco Bay Area. Her next performance is coming up next weekend, Saturday, May 18th, at the Oasis, 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at sfoasis.com. That's sfoasis.com. 7 p.m. I had a great conversation with Maureen. It was a lot of fun. She's one of the funniest people I know. If you go see her, folks, I guarantee you're going to have a great time. I'm going to be there. She's a real pro. She's absolutely hilarious. Her acting chops are up there with the best of them. She can make you laugh, cry, and jump to your feet in joy. And she has a wonderful singing voice and a ton of experience. I've seen her perform many times, and it's always a special treat. Okay, everybody. Get ready now for my conversation with Maureen McVerry. Here it is.
Well, I do say that about theater. It's such a weird thing where you can be in one show with somebody and love that person and have so much fun, and you never stop talking, and then you don't work for like 6 years again.
I know, and you never talk again.
Well, like one of the few, Jackson and I have grown very close. Like my true actor friend, and I think it was a bunch of convoluting forces, but he's like my true acting friend, and that we did stay very close, and I don't know how, but we're actually for separated birth, we're fraternal twins. We have the same birthday, so everything. He's actually 2 years older than me, so maybe it was that connection, but also just a bunch of things. But I do agree with you, and I love my friends. Diane McBride and I had so much fun together. I see her like every, like 6-8 months if I'm lucky, and I just enjoy her company tremendously. It's just a weird profession. There's no if buts about it.
So weird. I know it's hard to keep real friendships,
Yeah, because you're either talking in the lobby of a theater after a show or at an intermission or something. Speaking of shows, I do have some plugs, not only of my own show.
Let's hear 'em.
I loved ACT's Vanity Fair. I thought it was just wonderful. I disagreed with both of the reviews, even though I really like Chad Jones. Somehow that they found the music kind of dropped the energy. I didn't find that at all. I thought it was a tremendous return of joy to the stage at the Gary. I really, really liked that. I'm enthused about this Pam McKinnon, I think her name is. I don't know if there's still time. I think it might have closed today or maybe next weekend. The Diary of Anne Frank at Walnut Creek is beyond perfect, just absolutely perfect. No, Vanity Fair just opened. And then I went and saw 110 in the Shade, which is the Moon's new show, which is based on The Rainmaker, and the people who wrote the music were the people who wrote The Fantastics, Tom Jones and blah, 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 that person. Anyways, it's very moving. It's very well done. It's a beautiful production, and it's a lovely score, and it really works. So 110 in the Shade. So that just opened. So I'm
just opened. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on quite a little roll here. And then my own show
Let's hear about that.
is about 3 weeks, so I shouldn't be going out. I should be staying home and learning lyrics. My show is on a Saturday night at the Oasis on 11th and Folsom, and I'm a huge fan of the Oasis. So I'm thrilled that I get to be in there on a Saturday night. It's got the prettiest stage in San Francisco. Darcy, I don't know if Darcy or Heclina designed it, but it's a perfect jewel box stage. Just nobody looks ugly on that stage. Just a beautiful stage. And the actual environment at the Oasis is so welcoming. It is like my Cheers, because I go see a lot of shows there. And it's just so wonderful how that kind of warm atmosphere in a theater that draws so a cross-section of humanity, because they do spoofs of TV shows. So like I've seen I was in Three's Company live, but I've seen Sex and the City live and Buffy the Vampire Slayer live and Star Trek live, and you will laugh your butt off. I just saw Charles Busch there in his solo show, and it was just fantastic.
I didn't even know about this.
Yeah.
So they do this regularly?
Yeah, they do it regularly, and I do consider Darcy Drollinger an amazing creative force, and Heclina had the best... what's it called when something happens and somebody comes up with a quick line in front of an audience? A comeback. A comeback, yeah. Oh my God, out of nowhere... I don't know if you're familiar with Matthew Martin, very funny drag queen. So we're doing Three's Company, and he's playing my wife. I'm Mr. Roper, and she's Mrs. Roper, and she's heading to the showers, and as she turns her back okay, good night, everybody. Now she turns her back to leave the stage, some very, very recognizable female voice goes, woohoo! It's like the whole place went silent, like, what? Like, woohoo! Like, woo! Sexy!
Somebody in the audience?
Somebody in the audience. And then Matthew turned around and looked. I mean, it was just hilarious. And of course, Matthew made everybody laugh at that. It was really very funny. And then Heclina was on stage, and out of nowhere she said, I can't believe we're doing theater for the blind now. And I almost fell over the stage manager, and I almost couldn't stand up. Very, very funny people. So they own the place. They run a great bar. It's got cement floors. I'm kind of a South of Market girl.
It kind of reminds me of a smaller version of, what's the place where all the bands play, the big place?
Oh, the Great American Music Hall. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
And like I said, the staff is great. And with all due respect to Feinstein's, it's a pricey place to go to. You know, the drinks, the drinks are expensive. The cover charge is expensive. I don't know what I'm talking about. But
I love Oasis.
I love Oasis, yeah. So I had done a show at Feinstein's, and I thought, no, I want to do a show at Oasis. So I went back to the original Solo Show. I've always called my show VERRY McVERRY since I started it. And like 94, I think, was the first time I got up on stage by myself. And it's always just about me, my life, starring me. I used to do them about every 5 years, for no apparent reason. But now I'm doing like every 2 years. I guess I'm getting older and I'm running out of time. So I have more opinions. If you get to be my age and you don't have
there's a lot of material now too.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I'm doing just a little bit political, but I live in a constant state of outrage, and I'm just exhausted by it.
Terrible?
It's beyond terrible. And I actually after the election, I canceled my subscription to the Chronicle, something that people in the Bay Area don't know. The Chronicle is a very, very conservative paper nationwide. It does not, the actual publisher is not, it endorsed George Bush in 92. Let's not forget that. Anyways, I don't have a TV. I took cable out after Rick died because I was never leaving my house. So I don't ever see anything on TV. I have no image of Charlottesville. I have no image of anything. I don't have any of that in my brain, right? Since I don't see the news, right?
Yeah.
Well, I only heard Hillary and I saw pictures in the newspaper, and I heard her on the radio. And the pictures in the newspaper, in the Chronicle, mind you, every single picture looked like she was about to die within 2 days. Very unflattering photographs. Yeah. Her eyes looked puffy. She looked uncomfortable. And every picture of Trump, he looked presidential. So I canceled my subscription, and I wrote a letter to the editor. And I said, if you don't think that people like me notice that, then you're nuts. Inappropriate. You showed how the media is a powerful, powerful force. I took one course in college on journalism, and I learned so much. Anyways, and then I missed the green. I missed the sporting green, so I went back 3 months later. Isn't that sad?
Well, the sporting green is one of the best.
I love, and I miss
all newspapers in the world.
And I miss Leah Garchek, and I missed, Miss Manners, and so isn't that embarrassing? I went back for the sporting green, but for good writing and during that time period. During that time period, I subscribed to the Washington Post, and I get that online, and. I'm just about to cancel that subscription because, just reading a bunch of stuff that is just so upsetting. It's so upsetting because the Constitution is being flouted, the separation of powers is being thumbed at. It's just, and who's going to burn in hell is the Republicans because history will not treat them well.
No, I don't think so. And I think that he wants us to get exhausted. They want us to become exhausted so that we don't...
It works. You get white people upset about something and they'll vote in your pocket no matter what. It was the Southern strategy, and we still have repercussions from it. Yeah. So I have two very smart children. I've actually reproduced twice. But bam! Got your Social Security payments taken care of, Mr. Renati, my children. That's why I always say at my school shows, everybody go home, do your homework, get good jobs, and take care of us when we're older. The parents in the back going, yay! But so my daughter is going to be a teacher. In fact, she's graduating with a master's in a couple weeks. But my son studied poli-sci and very, very interested in current affairs. And then he got accepted at the Peace Corps, and then he went over and he's in Africa. And so he has read something like 50 books since he arrived in October because, he's living by himself in a hut. He reads all these books, but he read one book, which I'd read back in the day, and it was Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail by Hunter S. Thompson in 1972. Anyway, it was very, very good. And he said there's an epilogue now, and the epilogue, they talk about what caused that massive defeat, that massive landslide. What was the root cause? And the only person that got it right was Mankiewicz who was chairman of the Democratic Party. And he said, we had no idea that the Republicans would go that far.
Which election are you talking about?
72.
Oh, okay.
They introduced the Southern Strategy Nixon, but they introduced the Southern Strategy in 68. Nixon versus Humphrey. And they made it white people. The white people's rights were being taken away, and the Democrats were going to rise up, and all the brown and black people were going to take over. And that was that big shift in the Southern Strategy. It was called the Southern Strategy. And then they reinvested in it in 72, and the Democrats were blindsided. They never thought they would use such incredible inflammatory language and such a clear racist tone, and it was just totally on purpose.
And actually, nothing's changed.
No, it was the beginning of the end. But he said Mankiewicz. Everybody else was like, well, it was, that was when, I can't remember his name, E something. He admitted that he'd had shock treatments, and then Muskie cried. And it was like all these other people were giving these other excuses, and Mankiewicz. And then the editor said, yeah, Mankiewicz got it right. That was it. Yeah. In hindsight, that was it. Yeah. That's sad. But to hear it from a 22-year-old, my son, just saying, wow. And I was like, yeah, honey.
Well, I remember at that time, we had a mock election at school, and I voted for, the second time Nixon ran, I voted for McGovern. Mm-hmm. And I was so proud of myself. And I went home and I told my parents I voted for McGovern, because I saw Nixon as just not a possibility, when I was in 5th grade or something. And my parents said, well, we voted for Nixon. And that was the first time I realized there was a big difference in the way we looked at the world.
How fascinating. Wow. And because I was raised in a very political family, and we were raised to hate Nixon.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I thought.
But my father was actually a recovered Republican. He voted for Eisenhower, being a war vet, and then in 56 he changed over, and they never voted Republican. So I was raised like that, but I was raised in Orange County, so we were always the odd people out, always. And that's one reason I came up here to go to college, and then I never went back.
Orange County is very conservative.
Very conservative. I really, it's the heart of the Republican Party. It's really different. So I just knew I always wanted to be in the majority. It was completely my goal. I just said I spent 17 years in the minority, and now I want to be surrounded by like-minded people. So.
Yeah, that's what's great about San Francisco.
Yeah, but it also can be a problem because we live in this bubble, and then you go outside and you're just like, really? You think that?
I know. It's crazy.
I go to my friend's house. This last summer I didn't do it. I did Sunday in the Park all summer. But she lives in Kalispell and Whitefish, Montana, up there, and it's like so white. It's just hilarious.
Trump country.
Oh God, but actually terrible. And they're always I can't engage people in conversation because as soon as I say I'm from California, they start just saying terrible things, and then I have to get that snarky tone where I always say, "Oh, your opinion is so interesting, but every major social event that has started in America started first in California. So I'm sorry, we win."
Yeah, no.
And then I have to turn and walk away very quickly.
Can't talk about anything. They get so attack. They get to attack mode, and
but they don't know history.
History. And they don't want to know history. No. Even if you tell them history, they don't want to hear it. So I don't even try. I don't understand the psychology. I've been trying to figure it out, but I don't understand it. I think. Well,
I think if you root it back, most people are very, very, very selfish.
And when they're selfish, and I think that a lot of people, I hate to say this, are prejudiced.
Oh God, yes. Well, we're all prejudiced, but
no, but I mean, in the extreme.
No, absolutely. And well, my big gripe is I don't mind people being all of those things. So you can be who you want, but this turning our back on science and facts, this is new. Yeah. This is new. When I was young, the people who got into Harvard and maybe not buying Columbia, there was a respect respect for people who actually gathered facts in their head and analyzed them well and came up with good ideas and solutions. There was an admiration for people who were processing information on a higher level. And that's okay for me. I remember voting for Barack Obama, and I was older than him, and I realized this is a big moment in my life. I'm voting for someone younger than me, but I know for a fact he's 110 times smarter than me. So I'm happy with that vote. But this idea that we are saying no to science, saying no to facts, it was talked about. It's being talked about all over the world now. We are the only country that has it in our belief system that perhaps climate change is not real. Oh my God! Europe is like, what is wrong with you?
Well, we left the whole consortium of countries that were dealing with it.
Yeah, so but they're all like kind of, they just don't get it. They're like, but we don't understand you. That, and you know who it was created by? The oil companies. They started it when the handwriting was on the wall, and they did a campaign that it was not caused by people, and it worked. And it worked.
Well, I even think back to the 70s. Remember, we had the big hole in the ozone.
We solved it.
And the whole world got together, and we fixed
well, let me show you
ozone.
Let me show you this, because this is my little example of that. I'll be right back.
Okay.
100 years. So I got this scarf as a present from Lawrence Hellman, and he bought it off eBay, and it's a wonderful scarf. I'll describe it. But anyways, it's a piece of very heavy, touch it. It's like almost like parachute silk.
Nice.
And it's a map on one side, which is true, a map of France on one side, and then on the other side is a map of Spain.
Oh.
And this was given to every pilot in the Air Force and the Army, so that if they crash landed in a foreign country, they would have a map that wouldn't fall apart when it got wet.
Is that World War II?
World War II. So this was created for World War II.
It's in such good shape.
Yeah, well, someone had it in an attic and then sold it. And then my girlfriend put a serging thing around it. Oh, I got lipstick on it. Anyways, so the reason I went to do this, because you talked about the ozone layer. When you think about all the people that it took to make that one thing, to make life possible, that we could send people. It took map makers, it took a fabric dye, tool and dye, it took fabric people who had to figure out what would be the weight fabric, how much dye you needed, just the amount of minds that it took. But if we all had one thing that we all just said, okay, we got to deal with climate change, like war, and we all turn all of our focus there, we could possibly make a big dent. But it's just scattered now. We're not doing anything. We don't do infrastructure. We don't deal with we don't like put desalinization. It's like we're scattered rather than not. I don't want to start a war, but there was such laser focus at that point in human history in order to defeat this horrible force. But this force going on right now, the thought of the planet being destroyed, that's even bigger than Hitler. But we can't seem to marshal humanity. Look what just happened in Brazil. This is terrifying, that Bolsonaro. Why do we talk about politics? I'm a cabaret singer.
I don't know.
I was a history major, though, so that's a problem.
I was too, so that's
oh, yay!
Yeah, I was political science and history.
Oh, yeah. I always say there's a good way to go. Oh, me too. I was history. Oh. Yes, yeah. Just history for me.
That was a lot of work, wasn't it?
Oh, God, ridiculous. Did you write that big paper? Did they still have that thing? Oh, my God.
Every week, every class had an entire book you had to read.
Yeah.
And they write a paper on it every damn week. I remember I was reading, trying to read 4 books and write 4 papers.
Yeah, no.
Or whatever. It was insane.
Well, we had a weird family. Only 3 or 4 kids went to college, and they all graduated with the history degrees. I guess we liked history. I never thought about majoring in anything else. Number one, I didn't want to be anything involved with science or doctors or anything like that. And the math, not my strong suit. I can add and multiply. I can barely divide and subtract. But I just never thought of anything else. I just went, is there any other major?
It sounds the same way. I totally loved it. I still do.
Yeah.
But that's why I have a hard time staying away from the news now. But on the other hand, it upsets me so much because I never thought we'd get to the point that we're at. I never imagined it in my lifetime. where you could argue that we're under some kind of pseudo dictatorship, which is just
but it's also
unbelievable to me.
and it's also in many ways scary about that fact, because so 1/3 of the population isn't ruffled at all.
Yes.
And if you know, well,
But
you
they're
just
happy.
said you're a history major, but
Yeah.
you know, the Nazi Party had 32%, and the Bolsheviks took over Moscow with something like 28 people. I mean, it's like once you get the guns.
Well, that's what I was just telling my friend the other day. As long as he doesn't get a couple of generals on his side, which would be amazing. I just don't think that can happen, though. I don't see our armed forces.
Well, they're a little more
signing-
level-headed. I had a tenant downstairs who moved in here right after we moved back in 2011, and we called him Captain America. He had a running pulse of about, 40, and we'd already known them for several months, and we were sitting up on the roof watching the Blue Angels, and his wife said, "Did Pat tell you he was in the Army?" And we're like, "Wow, you were in the Army too?" He went to Princeton. He had a postgraduate degree from UT and from Harvard. And he was an Army tank commander in Iraq. And so I was like, "Wow, I was in charge of a battalion." I'm like, "Oh, okay, good." And then he did his first Ironman, and he came in place. He placed 11th. But he was so smart and so capable of an individual that when I met him, I got so happy about who's actually in charge of the armed forces.
That's great.
This guy is a very admirable,
Yeah, I think most of them are like that.
very admirable
I did that
person. Oh, you did?
In
Well,
83.
wow. They're going to start drafting girls. Did you hear? That's being proposed. Girls have to sign. I didn't like signing
Oh, you
my
mean they
son
have to
up.
register for the draft?
Oh, that's a new thing being proposed. I didn't like having my son register, but, they really kind of guilt trip you.
Yeah, I know. So, what about your show? We should talk about your show. You're
Okay, I'm doing a
15
show.
songs.
At least something like that.
least, yeah.
I'm doing a lot of sign time because I love sign time.
Oh, good.
What is this show about? It's always just about me, my life, starring me. I also feel like it's very fun, and I should actually do them more often because I really enjoy doing it, but I do them so infrequently that I don't get very good at it. No, I get fine. I'm fine. But
She's wrong, I've seen her. She's always very good.
yeah, but I also feel like as an actor, which I've now done professionally since like 1980,
Yeah.
that the one thing that I had to learn, and it took me to like 1980 something, was that many times in a work situation, you're really, really just shut your mouth. Keep your mouth shut. You're not being paid for your opinion. You're being paid because they want you in a part. And the sooner you learn that that's your job,
Yep.
your job is to do your part really well. And so for someone like myself who always, I had to learn that lesson, and a lot of lessons, and it's good. But on the other hand, every time I have done this particular show or any show like this, which enables me to play a whole bunch of different characters or experience a lot of different emotions in a very crammed amount of time, it's really everything I want to share with the world. It's what I think will entertain you, and that's what I like about it. It's like I'm sticking my neck out and saying, I think this will entertain you because it's my opinion. So therefore, I have. You can't imagine how many people it takes to get one person on stage. I've got Roberta Drake as a drummer, and I've got Johnny Verry on bass, and of course the amazing Dave Dabrowski, and of course everybody gets an opinion, but at the end it has to be my opinion, and so that we all as a group worked together and had a lot of fun, and. But I have to organize that. I have to organize the rehearsals. I have to do the set list. I have to do the publicity. I have to, all of these things that we don't have to do as an actor.
Yeah.
And so therefore you have to do it if you're going to do something like this. And then when you get the chance to be an actor, you're grateful. You're grateful just to be an actor.
Yes.
And that's what I really, really like doing. So I love sing along, that I love to do that. What else?
What did you say?
I'm doing some people hate the notion of singing with other people, but I'm very emboldened. I'm doing a Burt Bacharach medley because I love Burt Bacharach.
I love Burt
I love
Bacharach.
that. I got a
Yeah.
great song. But, it's just, reflective of where I am right now. You know, it's my new life. I was married for 32 years, and I was many times in my life preparing to be a divorcee, and now I'm a widow, so that's kind of unusual. And then, you know, every time my show reflects where I am in my life. So when I first started doing it, I had one child, and I was dealing with that whole thing about, you know, having this baby and that life. And then each time the child, the whole thing, the teenager, and it's just where I am in my life. So this is kind of, I'm now like playing the crones. I'm the crone.
So what's the focus? Is there like a...
it's me. My life story about me.
Yeah, and like what are some
the focus is always love.
Love. Oh, nice.
The focus is always love. I'm always looking for the best love story, love song. There's a song from Hello Dolly. There's a lot of Sondheim. There's
which Sondheim?
There's an unusual song from Everybody's Talking About Jamie. There's a song by Storm Large. There's a song by Fountains of Wayne. There's a song by my friend Jim Hayden. I'm trying to think. There's a duet with Jack Davis.
Jackson
so I'm doing,
singing with you?
Yes, bringing
great.
Jackson up for a little duet about marriage, because he's one of the few actors I know who has been in a relationship as long as I have. So we have very similar experiences. We would always be bitching and moaning about it.
I've been married for 25 years.
Yeah.
Last week.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
Did you give something silver, I hope?
I did. We haven't exchanged gifts yet, but I have it there.
Oh, good. Are you still speaking to each other? Because it's really important.
Oh, yeah. I get along. We get along better than ever.
Oh, see, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's good, especially after raising children.
Yeah.
Because children can really throw a wrench into the situation, you know. I always tell people, do not have a child unless you're ready to look at somebody who looks just like that person for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it definitely, people don't realize what they're getting into, I don't think. I certainly didn't.
I just went to a baby shower today, but we're like, you know, don't worry, you can't prepare yourself. It's crazy. No, it's like you just jump in. What the hell? Yeah, so I don't know. I have to look at my book to find out what I'm singing, but...
No, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know that is. I did a show a couple years ago, and I don't remember all the songs I sang either.
Yeah, but then how did you? I'm curious. How did you pick them? What was your theme? Did you have a theme?
Yeah, I did.
What was your theme?
It was love. It was love mostly.
Well,
and it was a little about my brother who had just passed away, and my life kind of growing up in the Bay Area. So like those three things.
Well, I have to say, like, when I think about love, especially when you're, like, it was very unusual to do this, because by the time I started really singing anything in cabaret, you know, people would give me torch songs, and I said, what do I know about a torch song? I've been with the same person for 4,000 years. You know, I don't know. That's not my life. You know, I don't have that. But what I find fascinating about a love song, and this one, It Only Takes a Moment, is in the show, but I talk about that. When you're in a long-running relationship, trying to remember that moment, that spark. Why did you pick that person? Because here it is 4 years later from my husband dying, I haven't had it. I haven't had it with anybody. And I've never really had it with anybody since I had met him. So I think that is when I think about love. What was that? What is that amazing thing that happens? And I used to talk about, I remember when he brought, especially our first child home, we were just like, we were so high. It was like, I want to go to Walgreens and get this. I want this to be in some sort of tincture. I'm a new parent. It was just like so much joy. And there's also, it's kind of scary. It's sort of sick. But anytime you've had a really terrible accident or something where you were injured badly, but you didn't die, it's like, I had a bad bike accident 100 years ago when my daughter was about a year and a half. I ran a red light. It was my fault going down. It was all my fault. In fact, if the driver is listening, I'm so sorry. They took me to the hospital. I didn't get to apologize. But... So, you know, once the actual initial, I got so lucky. I mean, so many bad things could have happened, and all I got was a broken index finger. But my husband would make fun of me because I would just like sit up in bed and go, I'm alive! I'm just like, I'm alive! Oh my God, I'm alive! And he goes, yeah, go back to bed. I go, I'm alive. And I still work at the soup kitchen, and One of my coworkers talked
You
about
volunteer at the
that.
soup kitchen?
I do volunteer at Martin's on Monday morning. I show up and I have anybody. I do encourage you to get a volunteer job for no apparent reason, but once you do, and if you have a wonderful crew, that's who you're going to your volunteer job because you want to be around those people and check in with them, your crew people, because you will never meet them otherwise at a volunteer. You will never meet anybody at a.
They're usually all
random.
walks
They're
of
from
life,
we have random walks of life.
Yeah.
So, but this is sort of funny. So, 1987, I lived right around the corner, and I had just done 3 months on a movie, and I had made a poop load of money, and I'd had this blah, blah, blah life, and I moved back, and I didn't have any jobs, because, of course, everything had been booked, and I started feeling sorry for myself. So I said, maybe I should volunteer. So I walked into this soup kitchen on Potrero. It's called Martin's, named after Martin DeBoers, and it's just basically, it's the Catholic worker movement, where just food is prepared. There's no proselytizing, it's just food.
Yeah.
It's a concept. Right? Yeah. And I had never done a volunteer job like that, and I was like, wow. So I did that until we moved away in 94, and it was like my tribe, right? Then we moved back in 2011 to the house we're in now. We lived here before. Listen, there's nobody who lives with my dog.
You've been in this house twice?
Yes, isn't that? I don't know if anybody ever. So we lived here from 89 to 94, and then we moved away from 94 to 2011, and then we moved back in. And about a week after I moved in, I was standing in this house, and I realized I always liked this house. We had 7 homes together as a couple. We moved various times, rented. And so to be back in the house that we'd lived in, it was very cool. It was like, wow, Were you
always in San Francisco?
No. So we moved away. But anyway, so we moved back in June of 2011, and then Lent came around in 2012, and I announced to my family, I'm going to start volunteering again at Martin's for Lent, just in case, FYI. And they were like, okay. Nobody cared. So I got up on Monday mornings and got up at 6 and went out. Once we came back at 8, they were like sitting there, and I was like, no impact. Nobody cared. Nobody gave me a medal. And then at the end of Lent, I realized, wow, I like those people. Yeah. I need to keep that job going. Yeah. So I've been doing it since then. But they're 20 but my peeps and I don't know why I started talking about them, but Martin's,
But this is a great house. I mean, you got a wonderful
I know,
view.
I got lucky. I know we wouldn't be able to buy them.
Beautiful.
I know. I actually.
Remember when we went on the roof?
Oh yeah.
Risking our lives to take a photograph.
Oh, can I tell you a funny story about that? Well, I hope they listen to your podcast. Okay, so Ray is talking about. So I live in a 2-flat house, and I have the top flat. And you crawl out the. It's not as scary as you think. And you crawl out this window, and there's a handle, and you go up, and then it's kind of like climbing up on a rock. But this one section is flat. The flat, and you have more than a 200-degree view of the city. It's a spectacular view, right? Yeah. Anywho, so
it's usually really windy.
Yeah, windy is scary. And Honey Pie, I was in high heels. I don't know if you know.
I do remember.
Yeah. Anyways, I was
kind of concerned.
Anyway, no.
Right
yeah. Well, I have a tough time because I've had to say to people, young people usually. Do you have any fear of heights? No. You don't have any? Well, yeah. So I'm talking about when I'm asking them, and they'll often act like no, and I'm like, really, and they're like, no, and I'm saying, well, then let's not do it. Why ever put yourself in a position where you're not comfortable? Yeah. I have no fear of heights, and I climb very easily, but I don't ever want anybody to be afraid.
No, not there.
Anyway, so fast forward. Mm-hmm. This is very gossipy, but I have to tell it because I was so shocked. So, with my new next door neighbors moved in, they bought the house for $3.1 million. Wow. And then they moved out for a year and put another $1 million into it. And I lived through their remodel. I never even got a bouquet of flowers. Anyway, so they started immediately complaining about my dog barking, this little dog, until they figured out after several vicious emails that there's actually 3 dogs that bark exactly like my dog, and one lives back there and one lives there. And to the point that I have run out on my deck to scream at my dog, come on, stop barking, and then I'll look down, oh, you're here. I mean, it's the same pitch, right? This tandem. So anyway,
and it carries when the wind's blowing.
Yeah,
so
it's just coming from somewhere. Yeah. So vicious emails about my dog barking. So, but I just chose to ignore them and said, I'm doing the best I can. Never emails about like what kind of dog owner I was, what kind of neighbor I was. Really, really mean things. And the funniest thing is that when I was working at Theater Works, and yes, in America, you can legally have a 56-hour work week. And so the woman who said, I worked 50 hours last week, and I was like, bitch, beat you! I worked 54.
Yeah, just a 3-week rehearsal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it was during Tech Week. So anyways, fast forward.
Tech Week.
So my big splurge, and I encourage everyone to do it if you have the money, because you do get money back and we have to do stuff. I splurged and got solar last year. At this time, I did my due diligence. I did solar, and because I felt like I instead of taking a gigantic trip around the world, basically, if you broke it down, it was like $12,000. A lot of money, but I felt like I needed to do it. Get away from being such a princess, and we all need to do something. I don't understand why it even costs money. Anyway, so that was my first major thing that I chose to do since my husband died. So I did interviewed several companies, did all that, read as much as I could, talked to people, and I ended up going with a company that was local, and I spent more money, but I felt better about it. But anyways, fast forward. They show up on Monday to do it. On Wednesday, open up my email, and it's a letter from my neighbors asking me if I would please take down the solar panels. Could you please remove them because they detract and distract from our roof deck's view? The view from the fake room on the top of their house. The fake room. It's a fake room. It's not a room. It's a roof deck. Okay. Oh my God. Isn't that terrible? So you know how I handled it? I never responded. I waited until the city signed off, because it's actually, you can never complain about the aesthetic view of a solar panel. There's a law that was passed in 1978. And then, but I shamed them by telling that story. I shamed them. And you know what happened? I hope you hear. But the good thing about it is, I'm going to say this because I do have hope in my heart. All the mean emails were from the husband, from the wife. All the mean emails were from the wife. Yeah. And so what I think happened, based on how I'm sussing out the situation, is that he sat her down and said, what the fuck is wrong with you? You gotta stop picking fights with neighbors. Gotta stop picking fights with neighbors. We bought a house. We live next door. We can't pick fights with people. Right. But it is the first time in my life I ever had a disagreement with a neighbor like that. Very upsetting. But the irony is, really the most hypocritical thing about the whole thing is, the man drives a Tesla. Why would you drive a Tesla and then be opposed to solar panels? That shows that you're being a hypocrite.
You just get the Tesla to show off.
Yeah. Oh, bingo.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Yeah,
well, they're still up there, and it's pretty exciting when you get a bill for like zero in March.
You can even sell it back, right?
You do sell it back. So the summer it's zero, and then you
charge your car if you had an electric car.
Well, that's what I did. I'm getting an electric car because I said put the big power thing in the garage. Yeah. So I got all set up. That's the next.
So much sun up there.
Yeah, that's the next thing I have to do. Is I have to
because the weather's good here too.
Yes, I have to go purchase a car. Would anybody listening to this want to help me buy a car? I have so little interest in cars. My husband
electric cars, you're limited.
No, I'm going to get an electric car. And my theory is, I think I'm going to buy something that's semi-used and try to get something not too expensive and just get to like 23. I think the market's really going to open up when more products will come on the market.
Well, there's a new Nissan Leaf coming out.
Yeah.
That's going to go like 300 miles.
Okay, so
it was going to come out earlier, but then the CEO of Nissan got in trouble.
Oh yeah.
So that's when So that's coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
I'll get that one. I test drove the Chevy Bolt You'd probably be fine in it, but I'm too big for this
Yeah.
seat, and it was very uncomfortable.
I was looking at the Volt, and then they stopped.
Volt.
Yeah, but the Volt, they don't sell anymore. They're not going to make anymore. But everybody I know who has one loved one. But I was thinking of buying a used one just to drive for like 7 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
I like to buy a car and just drive it right into the ground.
That's a mix. That's an electric and. That one's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
it also has a regular engine.
I need that because it's so funny. People said
you don't want to run out of electricity.
But people said just drive to work and plug it in. I was like, at a street, at a parking lot. I said, I'm an actor. Do you realize where I drive to?
Yeah,
it's like, hey, could you guys arrange for me to have a plug in? And they go like, yes, exactly. We'll get right on that, Miss McVerry. Yeah, so I said, no, that's kind of not an option. So I'm trying to go through all that, but I had a good line from the comedian Lisa Goduldig. She called up my friend and she says, hey, I need to go buy a car. Could I borrow your penis?
What?
Well, I mean, my girlfriend actually got taken to the cleaners for a car place, and she woke up the next day and realized that she'd been shanghaied by a very good salesman and returned. Because, you don't know anything.
It's happened to me twice.
Yeah, you don't know anything. Especially women, you don't know anything. Yeah. And Rick always loved cars. He would actually drive down the freeway and go, what do you think of that car? And I go like, which? The blue one? I don't really care. So, I think it's just got to go forward, stop, have hopefully air conditioning and a CD player, and I'm happy. I don't really care. So that's my next thing that I have to do.
Well, Hyundai's coming out with electric cars.
See,
too.
That's what I want.
Because if you go with the Tesla, they're so expensive.
No. And I also feel like, with all due respect to this genius, Mr. T, Elon Musk, Mr. M, who owns a house, if you want to check it out, on 20th and Wisconsin.
Does he live over there?
It's a house for his friends to visit.
Oh, okay.
It costs $9.3 million. It sits there empty. It's a spectacular house. I always had my eye on it. And I was like, who paid 9.3? And then, but when I saw the address, I was like, it's pretty perfect. But it's just when his friends visit. Yeah. It's like a pied-à-terre.
No, yeah.
I got a couple of those. But I think he's a little bit like this. So the idea of investing, he's like an unstable genius. I like stable geniuses.
Yeah, he's an unstable genius.
Like Barack.
He did not invent the Tesla, though. My wife's company invented the Tesla. She worked at Palo Alto Design Group, and there's a guy named Martin Everhart, who I know, who worked with the people at her company and built the first Tesla. And he's an inventor. And he sold the rights to say... So, what's his name?
Elon.
Elon is allowed to say that he invented the Tesla because he bought the rights to say he invented it.
How much did he spend for
that? From
that?
Martin Everhart.
Oh my God, I would say, how much did that? That was big. I hope he sold them for like $80 million.
I don't know. Martin made a lot of money.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So Elon's allowed to say that now. But he had nothing to do with the first one.
Wow. Well, I hope he got compensated. Well, there's somebody without a ridiculous ego. If he can listen to somebody else say you made something, knowing the truth, I'd be like, I'd be behind him like this, going, no. Yeah, I'd be photobombing. Oh, it's when you talk about photobombing. So we are, like, I don't know if it was on, but we're my family, big political junkies. The whole family, and especially my son, and so we are on a flight back from. We took a vacation. We went to Mexico, and we're on the last leg of the flight.
Yeah.
And from Los Angeles, LAX to Oakland on a Tuesday night, and we're like the last flight out, and there were 47 people on the plane. I love Southwest. When I'm in the mood, I don't mind jokes. I don't like jokes sometimes. But Southwest, as the guy said, so everybody's lurking around the waiting area. It's late at night. And he says, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin boarding flight 2544 to Oakland. And could everybody just get on the plane? There's only 27 of you. Really?
I love Southwest.
Yeah, like it was
so
so
hilarious.
funny. They're so
I know.
great. So this guy was great. He says, "Just get on the plane." Okay, so everybody gets on the plane, and my children had never been on an empty plane. So Jack starts taking off for the back. I'm like, "No, Jack, it's all about getting off the plane." So I said, "No. Went front 3 rows." So the whole plane is like stacked. It's like, and then there's some people that went back. So anyways, we're in our 3 rows, and I'm getting to the story. Anyway. It was the scariest flight of my life, and I kept thinking, God, we got all the way back from Mexico, and we're going to die over the pier. Just like the kind of flight that, like in airplane, where you look out the window and there's like lightning, and like, and the whole time we were all laying in our seats, and I just kept sitting there thinking, oh, I hope the kids aren't looking out the window. God, I hope they're not looking. They're not going to.
This is when they're little?
I know. Just a couple years ago, I said they'll never get on another plane. I mean, it was like even me. I was like, ah! And then
I've been on a
oh yes, you have.
Oh,
yeah,
you don't think you're gonna live?
No, you just.
It's like, it feels like it's not even moving forward.
No,
you're just like in a boat.
Oh no, but this was like people were like, yeah, oh God, it's just like, what is this thing? And then we dropped down, and it was like a perfect flight. So everybody in the plane was like, Wait, did we just go through? It was like very surreal, right? So the kids wake up and they're like, hey, great. I'm like, anyway, so fast forward. I'm getting out of my thing and I'm trying to get my luggage out, and the guy in front of me who I had just thought, wow, I really like his hairdo, I'll have to tell Jack. And I'm getting my luggage down, and he looks up and he thinks that I'm trying to cut into the aisle first in front of them, because I was like, no, you go. And I realized it's Gavin Newsom.
Oh.
And I mean, we're a foot away. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our lieutenant governor was on a commercial Southwest flight by himself with no aides, 0 other humanity with him, with a briefcase.
And they have no first class.
No, and he was just there. And so I think that is somebody. That's not Scott. That's not Scott Pruitt. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fast forward. I notice it's Gavin Newsom, and he takes off, and the guy's like 6'3", he's huge, and he starts walking. He's carrying a little briefcase, and I turned to my son. I said, "It's Gavin Newsom, get him!" So Jack takes off, and Jack ran cross country in high school, so he just takes off, and he's chasing Gavin Newsom down in the Oakland airport, where you try to walk out. It's just flat. Yeah. And so I start.
Big long haul.
Yeah, and I start running after Jack to catch up, and then I suddenly realized, oh, my daughter is behind us.
Oh, yeah.
And I should probably tell her why, because she didn't hear me say it's Gavin Newsom.
What do you want to do? Just talk to him?
Yeah, just stalk him. I'm a star fucker. I can't help myself. If there's somebody famous, my number one thing is I always like to go stand next to him to find out how tall they are. But I stood next to John Kennedy Jr. He was very tall in a bar one time. Oh. Anyways, So suddenly I'm running after Jack, and I turned and he said, oh shit, I forgot about Flannery. And Flannery comes out and she looks like, hey, where the hell are those jerks? And the whole look on her face was like, and my boyfriend's picking us up and they ditch me. And I was like, Flannery, it's Gavin Newsom. She goes, what? Yes, we caught up with him. Yeah. And I saw Jack. So Jack said, can I take a selfie with you? And so I could see Jack bring his camera up, and I came up behind them and I went like this.
Oh, your photo bombs? Gavin Newsom and your son. Well, you got to.
I photobombed him. It was so funny. It was just so funny. I said, screw him. I saw you first. He was the fastest runner. But he was very friendly. And of course, it was right after the election. So we were very upset and talking about. Oh, yeah. And we'd just been, and he was very, very kind. We were trying to get him to do Jack's graduation. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen. It was somebody very boring, with all due respect. But anyway, so it was very exciting. That's the only true, politician I've seen in a long time. And I just acted like it was the Beatles. I get so crazy.
Oh, I know. I've seen celebrities like that. Usually they're nice, but I shouldn't say who it was. One time I did that with a celebrity, and he was not nice. I won't say who it is, because he's actually from San Francisco.
Well, there you have it. And, I have been around certain people who have been not nice, and I always find it interesting that after a few years, their careers generally sort of dissipate, because that's how it works in this business. It's always been fascinating for me to observe. And then another time I was with a gal for a long time was when I did a long movie, and afterwards I really started to question that opinion of her, because I thought, she was tired. She had a new baby. She probably didn't want to work, blah, blah, blah. Who am I to say that was who she was at that period in her life?
You never know.
You never know. And you just,
you
could be crabby. And so you always have to be careful. But, listening to people. I remember one time when his political career didn't really take off, but he was running for supervisor, and I knew this man, and he ran into me on the street. I mean, no joke, like 6 days after Rick died, which was a huge surprise. It was very unexpected. And he asked how I was doing, and I said, wow, my husband just died unexpectedly. And he looked me right in the eyes and he said, yes, I know it's going to be a close vote. And I thought, oh, you didn't really listen to me.
Gosh.
So that to me said volumes, because I think that's really your only job when you're a servant, is to just listen. And hey, I'm the worst listener on earth. Are you kidding? But that is their job. And
you're not in politics. You're not a public servant.
Yeah.
Who did I? Oh, so many years ago. Do you remember the first touring company of a chorus line?
I think,
I came to San Francisco. And I went to go see it. God, this was like 30-something, almost 40 years ago. 30-something years
It wasn't
ago.
at the Golden Gate, because I think I saw the second touring.
No, it was a smaller place.
Whoa.
And I can't remember exactly where it was. But I was walking up the street with my date, and this Ferrari came up. And do you remember the police or the fire department used to have these blue spots where no one was allowed to park?
Oh, yeah.
They're not around anymore. Mm-hmm. He parked right in it, a red Ferrari, and out comes Willie Brown. And he just left his car there in like a place where you automatically get towed. Right?
Yeah.
And he was young at the time. He's in leather. And he just left his car there and went walking down the street. I'm like, I totally lost respect for him at that moment. It's like, you're allowed to park in that spot, and no one would ever tow your car because you're Willie Brown.
You should be the best version of a person rather than...
not do that, flaunt it. But he wasn't mayor at the time. He was, assemblyman.
Speaker of the Assembly. More powerful. Very
Congress.
powerful.
Yeah.
Well, I have a good Willie Brown story, but you better edit it out. It's when I was a cocktail waitress, and I made $250 when he was having drinks with the guy. And that guy gave me, every time I came over to talk to them, he gave me a $100 bill to stay away. And I knew who he was. As soon as Willie Brown walked in and sat down, it was a very quiet Fern bar that I worked at. And I went over and he says, I'm going to have a friend here. And I said, great. He goes, if you see him, he says, and I said, okay. So I didn't have to show him. But I went over and I took Mr. Brown's drink order, and then I come back. The guy had already given me a 50 spot to bring one drink to him. Then I put down the 2 drinks, and he hands me 100. And then the look is like, get out of here. I don't want you listening. Don't hover. So then I went back to the thing. I never circled back. After a certain amount of time, I saw the drinks were almost done. I sort of circled back, gave the high sign. High sign, went back, boom, another 100 spot, and then Willie got up and left.
Well, back then everyone knew he was making shady deals. Right?
He was someone needed an attorney or an advice, and I just thought, I came back to the bartender, and I was like the only person in the room that knew anything, and I just said, well, I think I just saw some little shit go down, but I don't care. I just made like my rent for the month.
You want me to cut that out?
Yeah, well, it was...
I've heard way worse things.
I mean, he was rough.
Than that.
The guy who he was talking to was rough. That's why I thought, what are you doing on this part?
Willie Brown was a wheeler dealer, man.
If he were white, he would have been president of the
world. He got rich being the Speaker of the House for the California...
Do you know who the most amazing politician was? Tip O'Neill.
Yeah.
When he retired, his entire estate was $170,000. He never made any money. Never did. Never listened to one tip.
I love that guy.
He had the best line. He said during the 80s, he said, all you people, World War II vets, it's like you put down the ladder and now you're picking it up.
Yeah.
No one else gets to come in. And that was written, so many things were cut during Reagan that were ways that the society changed. Cheaper, good schools, good health care, good early education. Early education is a big problem in this
When he
country.
was president.
When Reagan was president.
Yeah,
when he was governor.
Well, we kind of did a similar thing in California before he became president.
Well, I'm much older than you, and
Yeah.
I'm Prop 13. I never was affected by it. It was a spectacular.
Well, I remember Prop 13.
Oh God, it was terrible
just
what
a kid,
happened.
but,
God, in my high school there was money, but the money was being well spent. So in other words, if you were a kind of young man and you were not on that college track, they had a full-on auto repair body section of the school where boys were building cars.
Yeah.
They were and then another entire section that was in a wood shop, and they were actually acquiring skills. Not everybody is, meant to use cerebral work. Many people are not turned on by it, or they are very, very. They have a lot. Or they have really good hand-eye coordination, or what's it called, fine motor skills. God, thank God I didn't have to be a dentist. I would have been the worst dentist on earth, or a car mechanic. But, everybody is different, and our country is really, in this effort to get everybody to go to college, we've really forgotten a lot of essential parts of developing as a human. If you can't nail something together, or...
Well, in California, the only schools that still have those types of programs are the ones where the parents pay through it.
Well,
through like
ridiculous.
Pi and all
We
these other
paid for PE.
Yeah.
We paid the PE teacher, and
You're
then
kidding.
when
In San Francisco?
I lived in the peninsula.
Oh, yeah,
we
well, I
paid
know,
the
yeah.
PE teacher,
Oh, I
and
know
then
you
the
were
second
down.
thing was we found out that it was 90s, and when they reduced the class size, and then they passed a law that if children were suffering with reading issues, they had to be removed from the classroom and given special attention so that they didn't start falling behind. And that was the law that was passed, but it was never funded.
All right.
It was never funded. There was no money given to pay the reading resource position. So the parents, but it was a law. You can't pass a law and then not fund it.
They do it all the time.
Anyways, it was very hard. And so you have and then there was the situation where they were saying, well, we're going to raise this money, but then we're going to divide it evenly across the schools. And I'm sorry, all politics are local. If we have a school fair, why should we send our money across town to other school? I mean, that's kind of easy. You get that crazy school, they raise all the money, and everybody spends it.
Yeah. I know.
I have an issue because they're always trying to get my middle school shows. My middle school shows return enormous profits, lots of money. And I always say, why don't we try not to return profits? Why don't we just try to bring the price of the ticket down and, see it as just a culture enrichment for the community and for the student.
What do they do with the money?
We fold it back into the parent club. The whole school benefits.
Yeah, okay.
It goes to everybody.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
That's funds so many different things, and you know what? During the Prop 13 vote, I was in junior high school.
Oh my goodness!
In the middle of it, but we had wood shop, metal shop. I loved it. The boy chef.
Yeah. Oh, we had cooking. We had foods. Yeah, we did that.
So fortunately, I still had that.
Oh, good.
And then,
it took them a while to figure out what to do.
I think the vote had just happened and didn't cancel everything right away.
Oh, no, it took
a
several
few
years. Yeah. So you lucked out.
Yeah, I lucked out. Yeah.
Yeah, it got worse and worse and worse. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know,
it's terrible.
And then so I actually substituted at my daughter's high school, and somebody to the high school donated a $35,000 table saw. It was a kind of table saw that you would have in a factory.
Oh, those are great.
And there was not one student on campus that had the skills for that high. They were still trying to make boxes. But when I was younger, you made the box in 7th grade.
Exactly.
And then if you were good, you made a better box in 8th grade. And then by 9th grade, you were making other stuff. By 10th grade, you were like doing stuff. Yeah. So therefore, that would have worked. But here these boys in 10th and 11th grade are trying to make a box. And what's the good of having this top flight equipment there if somebody's got to cut their finger off or something.
God, I have a friend who cut 3 of his fingers off with one of those. And he picked them up. Oh, this is gross. He picked them up and he put them in a bag with ice and he went to the hospital and they sewed them back on.
Well, my friend
But
had...
one of them didn't take. But the other ones...
Really? Which one? The middle one? I hope
Yeah,
not.
I think it was.
Oh, God. Yeah, you can't flip anybody off. My friend, actually, he's an amazing comic actor, Steve Zamay, but he never goes, he has a 10-mile radius now. He lives in Redwood City. He doesn't want to work beyond 10 miles. Extraordinary. Anyways, he had just watched a History Channel episode on amputations. Which the new theory is that you get a cup of ice, and you put the digit inside the cup of ice just to not get it too cold. So he cut off his thumb.
Ouch.
And he builds houses for a living. So he cut off his thumb, his less dominant thumb. So the thumb is just spurting blood. And his assistant, Raphael, was the kind of person that can't take blood. So Raphael's like throwing up. He's just like, and he's like, and he's like, get the thumb, get ice. He's like, said it was so ironic. He's clamping down this spurting thing, and he's like a general shouting, and he kept thinking to himself, how bizarre that I just watched that TV show. I can't believe I know what to do. Yeah, and he said they got to Stanford, and it works. His thumb. Oh my God. Anyways, that's just amazing. So people, you find the digit and you put it in the ice, and then you don't go to a hospital
we bought it, remember?
And buttfuck nowhere. You go to Stanford. Oh, I couldn't watch that show. It was on Netflix. I tried to watch it.
Oh, I did.
I wanted to watch it because I was kind of curious, but then I just got so upset by the sort of ridiculousness, the unfairness toward women in general. I mean, it brought back all sort of Anita Hill stuff, and it just brought back a lot of stuff. So I said, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah, I know. Like Christine Blasey Ford is one of my neighbors.
I was wondering. Yeah? Okay, did you see my thing on the door?
Yeah,
it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, the door is great, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I got so mad when people were saying that she was lying. It made me so mad.
I think the whole thing was handled terribly. The entire thing, start to finish, was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And now, because of that uproar, we now have 2 crazy new people on the Supreme Court who should not be there. This is that people don't understand why you vote. I had to say to so many young people, you have to remember to vote. You don't understand. It works. We got Bush out. We got Bush out. We got Clinton in. We got Bush 2 out. We got Obama in. It works.
It's turnout. For the Democrats, it's turnout. People got to come out and vote. They can't be apathetic.
No, but people like the crazy ass people always vote first.
So I look at this picture on your card.
Oh, this is done by a guy named Paul.
Cross-eyed and do one eye more than the other.
Do you know who did that picture, which was very nice? His name is Paul Kites. And the reason he was very nice to do my picture, Paul has taken amazing headshots of all my school shows, my middle school shows. These children, I love their bios. They're 10 years old, and their bios are longer than mine. But so that's for the lobby. And so then he had just taken the school shows, and I was like, Paul, I need a picture in like 10 minutes. Can you
no, these are great.
And he's an ex-chemist who worked at Genentech, and he just was not happy. And he said to his wife, I'm just not happy. I need to do something else. And so she said, do it, go for it. And he's very happy, and he does photographs, and he's a very, very nice guy. And his son wasn't even in the show.
Oh.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sorry about that,
nice.
but so generous. I mean, people like that I always admire. I mean, people are so. We can't help ourselves. We're selfish. If our child's involved in something, we're going to help out. But if, some other kid,
But he still helped out anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Every year. Anyways, very nice.
Do you want to see Maureen do this incredible? I mean, this is one of the best cross-eyed pictures I've ever seen. I mean, it's like one eye is almost straight, and the other. How do you do that? You cross one eye at a time?
Oh, I don't know. Probably thought about who's in the White House right now. That's probably it. Probably
That's a skill, boy.
Yeah. Well,
that's
what are you going to do? Yes.
So it's the show.
Is it 7 o'clock? It's an early
7
show.
o'clock, not 8 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Because
Go-
they do another show afterwards, of course. They clear the place and they
Was
have
it like an hour and a half or something?
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark.
Saturday, May 18th.
Yeah.
2019, 7 p.m. One night only, folks.
One night only.
At the Oasis.
Yes.
298 11th Street.
Yeah.
At Folsom Street,
Fun.
San Francisco. Go to the Oasis website, SFOasis.
Don't be scared off by the other pictures on the calendar. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, the website's kind of wild, I know.
The club was created by two drag queens to give drag theater a forum. But, it's a nightclub, so anybody can perform.
Yes.
So, but I do sincerely recommend, I'm almost positive they're bringing back Sex and the City this summer, two new episodes. And I really, really encourage people to see it. I never even saw Sex and the City, and I laughed so hard.
TV show?
Yeah, well, I think I saw half an episode, but we know so much about it because it's so much a part of that you sort of...
Mr. What's his name? Big?
Yeah, so very, very
Mr. Big.
funny performers, very wonderful. And it's, the wonderful thing is my daughter is now engaged, and her future husband, I don't think he ever went to a play before he met my daughter. So
Now he's going to play all the time.
all the time. Man, let's have a sing-song. Let's all sing. Let's sing happy. Anyway, so he was the one, and I say this because he's a young, straight, under 30-year-old guy, and he was the one that turned to Flannery, and that's my daughter, and said, hey, let's make sure to see Buffy and the Vampire Slayer. I bet that's good.
I gotta go see these things. At
Buffy
the
and the Vampire Slayer, I never saw that show, and I've seen two of those spoofs, and one time I started laughing so hard I couldn't stop laughing. Very, very clever stuff, so I really, really support this place.
And we gotta go see your show.
Oh yeah, my show, Verry
Saturday,
McVerry.
May 18th, 7 p.m. And is there a link on your website?
Oh yes.
Maureen
McMucho. Maureen
We had some
McMucho.
discussions about that name, and you kept it. I like it.
Yes.
Maureen. The name
Yes.
Maureen. Mick, like McDonald's. Mucho, as in
McVerry.
much in Spanish.
Well,
Maureen
that's because it's
McMucho.
McVerry.
I know.
That's my
Yeah,
Spanish.
it's a play
My
on
Spanish
McVerry, which is your name.
my Spanish
Oh,
name is
Verry
Spanish is
Mucho.
McMucho.
There you go.
Mucho McMucho.
Yeah.
That's what I call.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I call my show, and when I travel around Latin
I like
America.
it.
I don't know.
Oh, you go Latin?
Yeah, just-
Maureen McMucho.
Yeah. Well, actually, because my late husband, bless his heart, put some sort of lock on www.maureenmcverry.com, and I can't get it.
I know, we tried,
Really
right?
is it? Ray does amazing websites.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, very, very good. So,
that's right.
yeah, so we did the old college try, and I
And I
eventually.
can fix computers, sort of.
Oh yeah, well we found all of Rick's.
We did.
My
your
son.
son did.
My son did. Oh my God,
That must have taken him
he
out.
bought. No, he found. He bought a Microsoft. He
Oh.
went to a Microsoft product, and
Yeah.
then he found this disc somewhere, and he put it in. It was all our family photos.
Oh, thank God. 'Cause
Oh
they
my
weren't
God.
on there,
Oh
remember?
no, it was.
So you had backed him up on something.
You backed him up with
Oh,
something.
good
and-
for him.
Yeah,
Of course
but
he did.
it was pretty funny. So we
Yeah.
sat there before Jack left for Africa, and we just sat there, and the three of us. And nobody likes family photos more than people in the family. But
Nobody else wants to see.
But then here's my future son-in-law, sitting behind us, and we're just like the three of us going, oh, blah 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 blah. And all of a sudden, I turned to Tucker and I said, oh. Tucker, are you just like bored like crazy?
Snoring,
And he
yeah.
said, no, he goes, well, actually, it's kind of funny because I know all these people.
Yeah.
It's
He's heard about them.
no, he knows them. It's
Oh,
like
I see.
family parties and stuff. So he
Yeah.
said it was, our cousins and
Yeah.
old family friends. So he said it was hilarious to see pictures of people he knows
Right.
when they were kids.
Yeah.
So he wasn't as bored as I thought. And I thought, well, that's kind of a different thing because, that's a situation where he had an invested interest in this group of family photos going by. But
Yeah.
we totally forgot he was there for like 40 minutes. We're like, ah! We're so excited.
Well, soon there will be pictures of him, and then he'll be.
Yes, he's already in the.
Did you see this show at TheaterWorks? Hershey Felder? Do you know who Hershey
Oh
Felder?
no, I hear it's wonderful.
Oh my God.
Oh, I have to go see it.
You have to go see it.
Do you know my
He is-
friends is his publicist, Karen Racanelli? Yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Oh no,
Hershey
she
Felder.
says he's wonderful.
Yeah, he is just.
So who's he doing now? What is this one?
Debussy.
Oh,
And it's a very personal story that's true, which is cool.
ooh,
So he's a storyteller,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a virtuoso pianist, which is, I mean, he is so good.
I know.
Like tears coming down your eyes, good, you know?
Wow.
And I was like, it was a talk back night. I jumped to my feet, standing ovation. I was like the only one. He goes, "Oh, sit down, sit down, sit down."
Thank you.
He's so
Did you see
normal.
Marie and Rosetta?
The other ones?
Yeah, I saw them. I
love
that.
Well, you gotta go see it.
Okay, I gotta go see it because you're the first person. But I that sounds like something I love because you learn something. You're moved. You're emotionally transported.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Karen Racanelli. Yeah, I'll give Karen Racanelli a plug. So Karen Racanelli for many years was not Michael Sunkel's production. She had a huge part at Berkeley Rep. She was like a big job at Berkeley Rep. Somehow, in I don't know what customer relations something, he did one show there, and he was like, "I want you."
Okay.
And he hired her, and that's all she does now. She has one client, and it was so funny.
Wherever he goes?
I'm pretty sure it's her.
Wow.
Is there anybody else who does this besides him? No, it's her show.
His shows. No, there's no way anyone else could do it.
Yeah,
you know,
but I'm thinking I just could be a little known fact I just made up. But I'm pretty sure it's him because he picks a specific composer to look at. Right.
That's what he does. Yeah.
So now I met her at an event at Z Space, and I was like, so she goes, no, my life totally changed because of a guy coming into Berkeley Rep and saying, you. And so I was like, wow, woohoo. And she says, I got one client. I just take care of him, make sure.
He just goes and goes from what I can
Yeah, and she's a very, very nice gal. Her husband, Bo, is an attorney, and he was on there was a great theater called, what was it called? I just blanked on it. Anyways, it was on 9th Street. It was an alternative theater that was really fun. And Rick was on the board, so we met a lot of interesting people. What do I want to call it? I'm stuck with the workshop, but I don't know what it's called. Anyways, very fun. So that's how I met them. But, smart people.
All right. So go to Maureen's show.
Please.
She's very, very funny, and she's an amazing singer.
Oh, thank you.
And a great storyteller and a really good actor. I've seen her do all those things.
I know, but lately
I just... director, and it sounds like she kind of had a lot of say in how this was done.
I have a fabulous director, Rick Seamus. I should mention Rick was lived here for any numbers of years, an incredible director, and then went down and taught at San Diego for 30 years, and he just retired, and he's really incredible and very, very specific, very smart. He got a PhD from Berkeley in directing, and he's a colleague of Danny Shay's, and his thesis for his doctoral thesis was incredible songs from failed musicals. So he's a fountain of information about. He's given me so many great songs to sing.
There are a lot of good songs from failed musicals. Isn't it sad how they just
oh my God. Well, gosh, what was that show? I was in a terrible show years ago, Wildcat, that had one good song in it. I played the Lucille Ball role. What a surprise. Hey, look me over, lend me an ear. So that was the one song. It was one and done. It was like the first song, and it was really good. But then Act 2 started with a male quartet singing a song called Tall Hope, and it slayed me every night. It's one of Cy Coleman's first shows. It's just out of nowhere a beautiful piece of music, just sung so beautifully. So even though a play can be or a musical can be just completely why did I even give you 2 hours of my that's my dog.
That's the dog.
15 and a half, the world's greatest dog. Why did I give 2 hours of my life to this event? And then you hear a song like that, and you're just flattened. You're like, wow, okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay, 100. Some of them should not be revived.
No, some should not be revived. But there are failed musicals that were failed for weird reasons on Broadway.
Did you do any of those?
Yeah, at Moon?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Did Silk Stockings fail on Broadway?
I don't think it was a big hit.
Yeah, I did that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I saw that. That was fun.
I did Nymph Erin, which actually never made it to Broadway.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And that's a great show.
Mm-hmm. And I did The Student Gypsy, which I love. Dave Dabrowski and I still talk about it. And it was written by the guy who was from Alameda. He's got a name like Bedrosian or Sholorosian, but he also wrote Little Mary Sunshine. So that was his type. And the show is perfect. It's got no name recognition, but it's a spoof. He wrote spoofs, basically, about a German operetta, and I played the drunk gypsy who a baby was switched at birth, and that's basically it, right? But Sing Spiel, that was a song. Really, really great. But it was opened. It got fabulous reviews. And then the newspapers went on strike. And there was no way to spread the word, and it was undercapitalized, and it only limped through like 3 weeks. And it got 100% great reviews, and it's so Yossarian or something like that. It broke his heart. He never wrote again. And so it's so fun, and Moon doesn't even bring it back. They did a concert version of Part of My English, which I also loved, and that opened on Broadway, and it was the Gershwins, and then a few days, like within 3 weeks, the Reichstag was burned to the ground by the Nazis, and it was this entire show was celebrating Germany. We love Germany, and not one person in New York loved Germany. Bad timing. And the Gershwins separated themselves from the show. They didn't want to remember it because they were so angry. So it had to be rediscovered, and they had to find the music, and it's a wonderful show. Wonderful.
I think for Nymph Errant, Dave had to look all over the place.
Yeah, that's
Dave Dabrowski, who's also your musical director.
Lucky
who's a
me.
Fantastic musician, an amazing pianist.
Yeah, all
great
styles.
Arranger, all around amazing.
I'm forcing Dave to sing too.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
He hates to sing, doesn't he? Oh, good. Yeah, so you got to go see Maureen.
Well, and I'm emboldened because there was a book out, last year, whatever that was, 2018. And I heard the guy being interviewed on Terry Gross, and I almost crashed my car. Because something I've always observed running these big musicals and actually watching my daughter come home from choir practice, and me myself being in a choir for many years, that singing with other people makes you feel better. It actually heals you a little bit. So this has always been something that I've observed. It's completely unscientific. And so
it's
I'm driving.
Vibration or something.
I'm driving along, and this guy, he wrote a book called The Art of Timing, and it was a good book. You can Google it, but it's basically about timing. When do you ask for a raise? When do you ask for a promotion? When is the best time to? So it's all this sort of scientific stuff. And then out of nowhere, he goes on a tangent, and he kept saying, join a choir. But a musical is the same thing, where you're singing with a group of people. And he said that the benefits of singing with other people, not by yourself, are being discovered by scientists. And one of them is your pain threshold is raised. There's a marked improvement to your autoimmune system. It can be a cure for depression and obesity. And so there is a general mood that descends over the group, which is a good feeling. And then it also happens if people have to force to learn synchronized steps. Yeah. So I
totally agree.
I almost crashed my car. I just thought, I'm so emboldened now because this is what my goal is always.
And that's what you've been doing with kids.
Yes, I've always observed it, no matter crabby they are.
And you've experienced it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know this to be true, and people who've done it.
But now the science backs us up.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
I'm really happy about it.
And I definitely believe incorporating the physical movement in with it adds another dimension. And it creates people.
But the thing that's so upsetting is my daughter's a student teacher in a class now, a first grader, and many people aren't comfortable with the concept of singing. They think that they have to have a perfect voice. So she's a student teacher in a class, first grade, and there's no music in the class. And it's a kind of a sea change. As a society, we moved away from that notion, and it's very different. I think it actually started happening once recorded music happened. People stopped singing to each other. They started listening to somebody else sing. But my daughter is starting her own classroom, and so I'm saying, well, what are you going to do? She says, oh God, we're going to a lot more music. Just when in doubt, just cram music in, because I think it is a very effective tool to change people's moods, and so I really feel that So when that's how I said to so and then Dave, he comes over. Of course, I make him get up early for rehearsals and stuff. And then at the end, he's always like, "Okay, now I'm in a good mood." I'm like, "Yeah, thank you. Now you're in a good mood. I force you to work for 2 hours, but it's like we could be digging ditches, Dave." Yes.
I love him.
Oh yeah.
He's so talented. You don't realize.
Gracie, stop.
When you have to, the show I just did. We had a rehearsal pianist every night. He's playing too loud, and I'm having to push my damn voice to sing over the damn piano, which I shouldn't have done.
Well,
But because I actually was, when I'm not mic'd, I'm used to for years because I did so many musicals there, where Dave always plays the right volume.
Because he knows how to accompany.
Yeah, and you still hear the piano, but you never feel like you have to push your own voice to sing over the piano.
Well, it's an accompanist. It's very different. It's very different.
Yeah. So it's definitely a skill.
I wish you could see. So I also, for many years, ran musical theater camps. In fact, I didn't do one this summer because I was working on this show, and I realized the two things together would kill me. But so one of the things that I have, it's a 2-week camp, and on usually the second week I have what I call a fake audition. So I teach them some audition tricks, put X on the
Take
square.
The pressure off.
Well, just the idea of there's tricks.
Yeah.
Here's how you talk to the pianist. Here's how you introduce yourself. You look above their heads. Just very, very simple tricks, and I encourage the children to do it. And of course, when you have 40, 50 people, there's always certain people that are in line and blah, 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 blah. But, and so not everybody does it, but I say, it's the hardest thing to do. So then Dave the one time Dave couldn't do it. He had to show, so I asked Ken Brill to do it. So I said, so you really never know, because the person at the piano could be the producer's son. It could be the actual music director who's going to choose you, or it could be just an audition pianist. But this is the most important person. You want a very good relationship with the pianist. I said, Ken, you've played a lot of auditions, haven't you? And Ken turns and he says, "I hate playing auditions." I said, "Okay, and then you have that too." But anyways, but Dave, so children either go really fast, or they go completely off pitch. So I've seen Dave speed up really fast, or bang, 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 hit the pitch until they're back. Oh my God, it is a skill. I always say I should tape this because it's just amazing to witness how he supports them and just all over the map. Let's come back to the melody and here somewhere, and it's really good. And then
auditioning for musicals is something you need to practice. I mean, you really need to just practice auditioning. I remember I didn't start doing musicals till I was probably in my late 30s. Because someone begged me to be one, and I was in it. It was applause at the Willows. Yeah. And then I said, I'm now going to go audition for musicals. Oh my God! The first 3 musicals I tried to audition for. What the most embarrassing moments of my life.
Well, hello.
I couldn't remember the words. The songs were in the wrong key.
The song's in the wrong key. When the song starts and it's in the wrong key, and you realize,
too high for me.
Oh, I should have probably checked this. Yes.
Took some classes to learn how to
there's a lot of tricks, And
then after you do it, then it's easy. But it's just a matter of just learning how to audition. Actually, I think it's easier to audition for straight plays.
Did you know Clea Blackhurst? Okay, so Clea Blackhurst is an actress from New York City that came out and worked we all sang at this amazing 50th wedding anniversary party at the Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay. Thank you very much. And
nice.
She was, thank you. She was the MC. And so when people would be singing, we're talking, we were just, chatting. And she's wonderful. She's a great sense of humor. And then she said, I'm doing a play now. And I said, you mean not a musical? And she said, yeah. And I said, wow, what's that like? She said, I said, you don't have to learn lyrics. No lyrics. I never have to worry about whether I'm on pitch or not. Breathing doesn't seem to be a problem. I never think about that. I never think about like how my throat is doing. I just sort of listen to the other person and say my line. It's kind of amazing. And I was like,
totally. You have to learn more words, but in terms of like all the physicality,
right.
It's like so much easier.
Dancing.
Usually.
There's no dancing in straight play.
Unless it's like a situational comedy or like a very physical comedy.
Farsi
then it
kind
gets
of
different. Well, you do tons of that.
Yeah,
but
not. I haven't been in a play in a long time. But hey, anybody?
But I've seen you in musicals where you have to do a lot of physical.
Oh yeah,
and you're
not
very good at it.
Well, I've been in like what. 4 productions of Noises Off, so I
there you go. Noises Off is the
very
exact show that
physical.
I was thinking of.
Yeah, very physical.
That's sort of like doing a musical.
Yeah, well, it's very choreographed.
Yes,
it has to be choreographed,
yes.
right? But in the idea that you have to do choreography like everybody else, I have a very, I always have to explain to children. I said it's just doesn't make sense intellectually, but when everybody's moving at the same time, doing the same together, it's very magical, and the audience doesn't know why they like it, but they like it.
Yes.
Intrinsically, they know it's hard to get that many people to do the same thing. Yeah. So I said, that's why we all have to be on the same foot. Yeah. We all have to be on the same. I said, because that's what we're going for. We're trying to like flip them out. We want to flip them out. And the way you do that is you do it all the same. It just doesn't make sense. I explained to this child with autism. He was like, I don't understand it. I'm like, there is nothing to understand. It's just like, and when he slowed down in a performance and actually went on the beat with this dance move during a show, the boy was in 8th grade, everybody in the booth noticed what Nathaniel was doing, and we all burst into tears. It was like, he got it. He got it. He didn't get it intellectually, but he got it on a spiritual level. That was so beautiful to witness, because he just didn't get it. He didn't understand what was the point.
Right. I have to say, I've known a couple of actors on the autism spectrum, and once they get to a certain level, they all have this incredible uniqueness to offer that other people don't have. Mm-hmm. I've found. And it's mind-boggling. It's mind-blowing every time I see it. There must be a lot of people in Hollywood who are on the spectrum, I'm thinking.
Yeah, possibly.
And they hide it or whatever.
Yeah, and I've had several young people come to my camps, and one had a psychologist who called me up, and he said he had grown a lot. And I said, you don't have to tell me that. I saw it happen in front of me. Yeah. I saw him happen because he was actually pretty soon was in mainstreamed into schools and stuff like that. Yeah. Just a wonderful kid, and he made you played that improv game Bus Stop, where everybody's at a bus stop and everybody is supposed to. You take a piece of paper and you're the cheerleader, you're the worry wart, you're a politician, you're the bad guy, and you have to do something. You have to like pick a character, and then everybody in the audience has to say bad guy, worry wart,
guess
thief,
who you are.
Thief,
yes,
right.
I love that. That's so much fun.
And this young guy with Travis was his name, and I didn't make the list. I have assistants that run the improv game. They gave him me. And he did me so perfectly, I almost had to be peeled off the ground. It was so funny. He was just wandering around. I love Pilates. Be sure you do Pilates. Light feet. Everyone, light feet. Smile. Pilates. Hold your stomachs in. It was like watching yourself a mirror, just like, oh no, stop it, Travis. Too real. It was one of my favorite things.
Well, I meant like high functioning people on the spectrum. It's like, and then anyway.
Yeah. That boy that was in 14 who finally danced straight, he didn't speak until he was in 5th grade.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Very, very cool kid. And then his mother worked very hard, the Majors worked very hard to, just help Nathaniel become a full person. So they saw his skills, and then when he went to high school, he became the baseball team statistician. He was a baseball maniac, knew facts, figures, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
and he became the scorekeeper for the baseball team. And then, so from his freshman year on, here was this young man who was like the baseball team's favorite person, and blah, blah, blah. And he had an amazing high school life.
Great.
You know, very, very good kid. Great
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved him. Very nice.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, I've
thanks
talked
for
your ear
talking
off.
with me today.
Talked your ear off. Okay, that's good.
It was fun. We could go on for another 2 hours. I feel it.
Yeah, that'd be sad for anybody listening to it. Shut up! God.
All right, so.
Yeah, my daughter was leaning out the window
Yeah.
of our house a million years ago, and the woman across the street was like out at 11 o'clock at night calling for their cat, baby, baby. And my daughter was like, it was a hot night, the windows are open, she's finally, it's a cat! Because our cats always just, came in through the cat door like, it's a cat! Gotta sleep!
Cats come back.
Yes,
They're like pigeons.
Yes, don't worry. Yes,
I
actually.
love it. All right. So, May 18th, 7 p.m., Oasis, San Francisco.
Yes.
Very affordable, $20 to $20 and $40.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to be 21 though.
Yeah, and good drink
Children.
prices.
They are. I have had them myself. I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's a very affordable evening.
Yeah,
All right,
very
thanks,
fun.
Maureen.
Right, thank you, Ray.
All right. So that wraps up my conversation with Maureen. Boy, that was a lot of fun. She could probably have gone on for 4 hours, but I had to get going. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Green Room On Air, a part of Green Room Radio, and my name is Ray Renati. And remember, keep your pants on. Be good little boys and girls. And be nice to each other. And until next time, I will see you on the boards. Good night, everybody.